I want to pull Sateria back up here because we've talked a little bit about this idea of self-care and boundaries and how to prevent overwhelm. And as an advocate, I'd love to have you share some of your strategies and sort of how you're thinking about this, just given how deeply personal this is.
Thanks again, Katie. I thought Lauren's comments just, oh, she checked all the boxes. Much of that resonated with me. And thinking on your question, Katie, I reflected back to when I was really in the throes of before my fourth fibroid surgery, some really horrible menstrual cramping and heavy menstrual bleeding. And I was in a research meeting and I was understandably trying to contribute to the meeting while in intense pain and very uncomfortable in an all-day meeting. And then after that, once my symptoms were addressed, I found myself in a different place where I felt like I could better support the community because I wasn't suffering. But I think it's important to recognize when you are and utilize all the resources around you, like our community, volunteers. I think sometimes I know I'm guilty of this, try to be the one woman, superwoman, and that is not sustainable. And so we really need to recognize when we're not feeling well. I think another thing that really boosts my energy, which Lauren referred to, is interfacing with the community. Because when you're an advocate, you don't always see the impact of your work, but when you have the opportunity to interface with community members and hear directly from them on how they've benefited from what you shared, it gives you the best feeling. I think that's the favorite part of what I do is interfacing with the community and being able to hear and learn and understand and celebrate ways in which their quality of life has been enhanced by way of some information that we've shared or a story that I've shared or some of the work that we've done. Um, I find that that's what keeps me continuously inspired and helps to prevent the burnout. And another thing I think is really critical is advocate to advocate support that helps with the burnout as well. The opportunity to reach out to you or some of the other advocate founders that we know and share any maybe even logistical, challenges or just something we're trying to accomplish. That sensitive ear helps tremendously in helping to move us forward and to know that there are answers out there. We can do this, and despite the fact that you may be tired in that moment, hope springs eternal.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think often of the network that we've all built, because even if you're not a, particular condition specific advocate, like myself, right? We deal with a lot of different issue areas, but it is a deeply personal issue area. And I think one of the things is being able to reach out to others who can just be supportive, even just as I just need to vent about this, or, oh, are you experiencing this, is so important. And I will point out as we're like shifting into sort of a little bit of a different tact of this, I received an email from the Fibroid Foundation while we were sitting here that said, what should your reps know about fibroids? And so well done. Just like, what do you wish they knew? And it's got quotes from people about what they wished their policymakers knew. And I mean, what a wonderful way of thinking about, I know you all are gearing up to go to the Hill, but a great way of thinking about how do you prepare for approaching this? And some of that is like just like you're being armed with, you're practicing your stories, you're making that plan, whether that's using our toolkit or thinking about who you're going to be engaging with. But it's also thinking about how you're going to feel ready and whether that's rest, which I know we're all probably a little guilty of this, like how do you build in rest, that sort of thing. Find that support system where you need it, so that you can come back and continue, because the biggest thing about advocacy is it feels like it's never done. Even when you get to that win that you've been getting, trying to get to for years, then you have to think about how you implement something. And then maybe, you don't walk away. You want to be, what is it that we say? If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. You want to make sure that you continue to show up to do that. And that can be taxing, I think, just personally when you think about your well-being.
Yeah, and I just really quickly would like to add that if someone is kind of feels intimidated by the advocacy process, Lauren referenced her list of 10 things. She gained that experience from a previous life experience. For me, it was business development. So I felt comfortable going to Capitol Hill and trying to assess the needs and the goals of a particular office when I was having a conversation and how to approach that conversation. And I know that each of us has something that we can reference, something that we feel confident in, that we can bring to advocacy work that is unique and special and has a positive impact.
Yeah, I think that's totally right. Thank you so much for that, because sometimes we do need that reminder.